to pray. There's no angels where I go, only pieces that are broken, scattered dreams across the floor. I'm home.
Alrighty, hello everybody, this is Kirusho here. Now, whenever we last left off, Deku and Kirishima, they had just had a bit of weird events happen. They just got done with the island event, then you had this time. During the Forest Training arc, things were a bit weird. And in fact, downright crazy. Kirishima had to use 1,000,000%. Not just that, it seems like she may have hurt herself very badly, passing out afterwards, whenever she knew everything would be okay. Now, Deku and, everyone would have gone to the hospital, to at least help get her checked out and see if anyone has any injuries. To which it is to a surprise that very few of them are injured. One student during an entire villain attack. That is better than what authorities would consider most to be the usual casualty rates. Cut over to the Hacker Deku series. Anyways. Yeah, most of class 1A fucking died anyways. For those of you who haven't seen that, that's a spoiler. Sorry. Getting off topic. Anyways. Now, after going to the hospital, Deku would have found that Kirishima will be okay, and that she will make a good recovery. She just needs to rest for now. The injury, after looking at it, they did have to perform some stitches, along with the fact that she will have to cover it for quite a while. So it is going to be, fairly hurt. Now, with that being said, Deku is at least waiting outside the waiting room, and people are staring at him. He's already been there for 2 hours, and visiting hours are over. So, that's not good. Along with that, he would also check his phone. He has been texting his mom and his sister. Along with that, apparently, one of Deku's classmates came by earlier and dropped something off. Or at least I believe she was one of your classmates. Now, with that being said, Deku would come home. After talking with the priest and explaining what happened. As soon as he comes home, he finds that his mom has a piece of mail. And that this is a bit odd. They aren't even supposed to be getting it. And Deku would open it, finding that there is a note. And he would begin to read it. The note is just saying that you do not know me, but I have been keeping an eye on you. A close eye. Now, Midoriya, if you would like to see your friend again, I believe that you should come to this location at this time. Now, I'm quite aware of what you can do and how you do it, along with your little Adeptus Stars bullshit. So, your friend here was poking around, and I'm not sure what to do with him. Now, Deku reading this would be confused, as he goes through the envelope once more, finding a picture. He would pull it up to find that it's a picture of Todoroki. And he's not sure why or how, but this person has him contained, or knocked out at least. It's the way he is in the chair that kind of throws him off. This being confusing. Deku just, crumpling the notes into his hand and burning it. And only leaving the picture of Todoroki. He can't even tell anyone, so he decides to do something. He decides to make a bit of a phone call. And he needs their help. With that, Deku would begin to ask people exactly what is going on, and if they've heard from Todoroki. Them basically saying that they have nothing about that. In fact, he's not really talk to anyone. He sort of just left after they were told to leave. Now, with that being said, Deku would just explain the scenario. Ochako and Momo are confused, but Ibara kinda is curious of what's going on. Now, with that being said, there is also another problem. He is supposed to meet in the forest, and, well, he doesn't want to be unarmed. He would start talking with one of the Space Marines when he does get back to the church, and basically hauling ass in the middle of the night, and talking to the man. The man just explained to Deku that he should be fine. But, well, this has nothing to do with us, in case that is what you were wondering. Now, Deku's mind is well racing at a little bit of a high speed. So, he begins to ask more and more questions, along with one to his mom. What did the girl who dropped this picture off look like? His mom basically describing her. She was a blonde girl, blue eyes, and, well, she wore a bit of a weird outfit. But she can't really be a judge. Deku's somewhat calling his friends, along with actually talking with Ochako, asking if this weird girl fits this description. Because she remembers that there was a girl running from her at the, well, camp. He does remember at least seeing her in an outfit, so he wants to know if this was the villain's. Ochako is saying that describes her, but, well, what was the outfit? Deku just trying to explain it, the best he can. Not really getting much of an answer. Now, with that being said, the Space Marine before Deku runs out the door again, would explain to Deku that if he is going to leave and take his friends, then at least take one of these, handing Deku a heavy pistol. Along with that, this is whenever things get a bit more confusing. Deku has to meet outside the city, and it should be all fine. So, this is the conundrum. Asking the Marine if he can borrow a ship. The Marine, well, saying yes. Him basically allowing Deku to take one of the smaller pieces of the ship. An escape pod. And allow it to fly. Now, with that being said, Deku would be ready. He is outside the city and actually in the forest, walking towards this, well, area code, or coordinates. They were land grid coordinates, so it points directly to this area. As Deku can see Todoroki tied up in a chair. Now, he would immediately run over, but before he can, there is a loud sound. A tree comes falling down in front of Deku, and Deku would immediately jump back, and bring the gun upwards, firing off into the trees, as a loud sound can be heard. Two, well, discs come flying at Deku, and he immediately tells everyone to hit the ground. Them actually doing so as Mineta, he tries to at least, well, block one, or at least catch one. It stabbing into his arm and going straight through. Him actually having to reform it, and just try and catch them, or at least block them. With that being said, there would be a bit of a... Now, there would be a weird coincidence, as Tenya Ito walks out of the forest, along with Kendo and Mei, along with, well, Mina, and Toga. Everyone's a bit confused. With that, Deku would just immediately point a gun and begin to fire it, well, pull the trigger. As soon as he fires it, something comes in and completely swipes off the top of the gun. Deku just backing up as he looks around. He can't see anything or hear anything, along with smell it, so something is out there. Him immediately just pointing to Momo and asking her if she can, hand him something, please. Her just doing so, handing him two submachine guns, he just starts to fire them into the forest, trying to figure out exactly what is going on. Now, This is whenever these two just would come back around, immediately heading straight for Deku. Deku holding his hands out as he smashes one into his hands, and catches it, looking at it and inspecting it, as he finally hears something break behind him. Immediately turning around and bringing this disc up to this person's throat, as they bring up two blades to his. Now, with that being said, that is whenever Deku would see this man, in a mask and a black suit, as Todoroki stands up from the chair. Well, I'm guessing we have your interest then. Who exactly are you? You're no hero or villain, are you? Those blades. Clearly, they've seen battle. So have you, haven't you, Space Marine? That is what they call you here, right? Well, not yet. I'm more concerned as to why my classmates are on your side, though. Deku just holding the blade out more. Or they smart disc. Now that I can finally say it. Yes, this is a crossover episode. Now, with that, this is whenever the man in the mask would just say that, well, he's correct about one thing. His classmates are on his side. Not on your side, though. What? Todoroki just walking over. Deku getting a clear look at him. He's buffer and a bit taller. As someone comes out from behind them, or the entire group. You have Deku just say Kirishima now. Deku immediately turning around. Seeing a red-haired guy immediately just, restraining Shinsho and holding his mouth closed. As someone comes walking out of the forest, mimicking a voice. As it seems to be Shinsho. Now, Deku would be a bit annoyed, and Momo would begin to fire at him. Confused. As he just holds up his hands, catching the bullets in midair, and dropping them to the ground. Deku just looking back at this person, saying that that is Shinsho, but there's a bit of a problem. Yes, I can clearly tell. You have one of your own. Well, that's not the problem. You said Kirishima. Who exactly is he? Him? That's Kirishima. Alright, this is getting annoying. Deku doing one thing. He, swings his body to the left, grabbing the man's gauntlets and throwing it upwards. As the man begins to do something weird, he grows in size. And he brings up his other hands, immediately stabbing them into his gut, Deku punching him directly in the chest, as the man goes barreling away. As he brings his hands outwards and begins to form claws in his hands. He would then stand up. Well, that's new. What, never faced someone like me? No, I haven't. Then again, I'm guessing you didn't expect this to heal. Oh, I did, actually. One thing about you is you're a hunter, correct? You've killed some game in your life, haven't you? Yes, I have. Why do you ask? You're trying to hunt me down? Is this the world's most dangerous game? No, actually, it's not. The man popping his mask off. As more people begin to walk out of the cave. Everyone a bit surprised. The man in the mask is, Midoriya. And it seems to be a bit more of a problem. Along with that, you have Momo, and this Todoroki talking with someone else. Along with that, there is another version of Bakugo, which our Bakugo, the Space Marine's Bakugo, is confused by. And then Mei, who seems to be covered in these weird things. As you also do see a Chaco and, a Kendo. Deku just asking questions. This is some form of trick, right, by the League of Villains? You're just gonna ambush us or use an Shut up. What? First of all, if I wanted to trick you, I wouldn't do so. I have a code. Second, I'm hoping that you can at least help us. Help you? You just stabbed me. And you nearly stabbed me. Listen. As something comes scurrying out of the forest, immediately jumping onto Predator Deku's back, as it basically just hangs on his shoulder. Everyone a bit freaked out by it. Deku just bringing his hand up to it. As Momo would walk up to his side. Well, the black-haired Momo, not the white-haired one. As he says that their universes are vastly different. Don't believe me? Try me. Or well, try All Might's successor. This Deku just pointing at Momo, as she would pull up her sleeve, showing a scar on her arm, and holding it up, turning on one for all. Deku confused, asking her to give him a sucker punch. At 50%. Him and Kirishima spar a lot. Kirishima opening his mouth to ask a question. Before he can say anything, this is whenever Momo would punch Deku, and sent him flying. Him getting back up and confirming that, yep, they're legit. That is one for all. As she would also form Black Whip in her hand. Deku confirming it once again, and asking exactly what the hell are they then? Well, a bit of a question for you. Fuck it. Izuku. Call me Midoriya. Alright then, Midoriya. Exactly who are you? Well, clearly I'm you. But there's a difference. Have you ever heard of the multiverse? The what? The multiverse. It's basically the concept that at anywhere at every given moment, there's always a different outcome. Where you were born quirkless, I was born with a quirk. Where you were abducted by, humans that basically can still travel throughout the stars, I was kidnapped by aliens who wanted me to be a child soldier. Izuku's still confused. Midoriya going on to state that, first off, he's guessing that the Todoroki trick worked. A bit of a surprise. He thought they would have a Todoroki. Now, I do believe you guys have your dorm system set up, correct? Yeah, but... Good. Let's go there. I'm not really sure that that's a good idea. Now, this is whenever Sue would just open her mouth, saying that if it wasn't a good idea, then, they wouldn't have been here. In fact, she believes that things will be perfectly fine. Just, the explanation will be hard. Besides, Nezu can test us, seeing what we know. Besides, you went less berserk than I did against Muscular. What? Yeah, against Muscular. You got pinned to a tree, I, fared a bit better than you did, actually. She's the one that saved my ass. Kirishima saved mine. Now, once again, Deku's just turning around, pointing to this dude, saying, "Who is he?" That's Kirishima. No, it's not. Yeah, it is. Kirishima's a chick. What? Deku just or Midoriya looking confused. Now, with that, this is whenever they would just begin to walk across town. Everyone looking at a big number of these students. Now, along with that, they would have to somewhat wear disguises. The copies that are basically female would put on a wig, or at least something to cover their face, so as to not draw attention. Until they do get back to UA. Now, Midori would just ask exactly where is All Might in all this. Usually he responded to, well, what happened? He responded with how things were in my timeline. Well, this isn't your timeline. The Space Marines are taking you to get surgery. Besides, Deku somewhat stopping, saying that they're here. Now, they would all just pile into the UA dorms. Everyone's just a bit confused at who these strangers are. Until they do see something a bit weird. May, with weird tech on her hands. Ida coming running up saying that this is highly unpractical, especially at this time of night. Who exactly are you two? As he looks down, seeing engines in one of their man's legs. As he would just say, identity theft is not a joke. Anyways, with that, this is whenever, well, fuck it, Tenya. Tenya would just say to Lita or Ida that that's gonna be a bit hard to explain. Him basically just jumping back. Everyone's somewhat running in to find what's going on. This is a bit odd. Because you have a version of, well, Shinsho that is tiny. You have a version of Sue. You have a version of Mina. You have a version of Todoroki. Now, with that said, he would have come walking out of his room, asking what all the commotion was about until he bumps into someone, opening his eyes to see himself. Actually taken aback, as he just says that, first off, this isn't a trick. They already confirmed it. Second off, everyone sit down. Everyone actually doing so. As the Predator Deku would take off most of his gear, pulling off his dagger, his spear, his gauntlets, his plasma caster, and, well, his whip, taking it out of the space that he needs to, in order to do so, keeping his other whip on him in case something does happen. Now, he would just say that first, multiverse theory. People somewhat confused, as one thing would happen that is kind of unexpected. Our Kirishima for this time would walk through the door, confused exactly why there's a huge pile of people here. Until the male Kirishima would walk out of the kitchen, holding a protein shake, saying that even though he's a chick, she still hides it where I would, somewhat turning to see her. Him a bit confused, along with her. Basically running forwards and immediately going to punch into him. As soon as she hardens her body, he would bring up his hands and hard his own. These two smashing arms, as she looks shocked, before turning on One for All. Predator Deku basically jumping in the way and just telling her, hey, don't do that. Besides, Cementos isn't gonna like if you have to rebuild this place. Her staring at the sky for a second. Midoriya? Yeah, that's kind of hard to explain. Her just turning around. And, well, seeing what's going on. Now, this is whenever things are weird. And they need to explain this now. To which they would all sit down once again. Finally uninterrupted. Deku basically saying that, first off, have any of you ever heard of a xenomorph? No. Good. Second, how about the engineers? No. Okay, good. Him basically just going off of the list. Continuing. Until they would have to talk about this. Deku just turning to himself and asking exactly how did they get here then, if you're talking about the multiverse. Well, first off, that's a bit of an odd topic. We were going through space one day, and we're not sure what it was. It seemed like a storm, but, well, it hit, and everything got fuzzy and weird. Then we tried coming back to Earth. Apparently, this is Earth. Yeah. So wait, you think you hit a... I'm not sure what to call those, dude. They're... Oh my god. We've been stuck here for a week. Wait, you've been stuck here for a week and your first idea to talk to us was faking a kidnapping of myself? Todoroki's not saying. The other Todoroki just saying, well, it worked, actually. Holding up his hands, asking if, well, he could do this. Him just holding ice in both of his hands. As he then smacks his hands together, causing a flame. This Todoroki's confused, and, well, taken off the subject of what's going on with Midoriya. As this Deku would go on saying that this event's happened, and they compare to your events like this, and this. But then again, we also do need help. We're stuck here. So, along with that, I'm guessing you know who... What's his name? The asshole trying to call me a champion is? Korn? Yup, I'm quite aware of who he is. So, exactly what is going on? Now, with that being said, this is whenever Aizawa would somewhat come by, trying to at least tell everyone that it's time to go to sleep, since they've had the lights on longer than they need to. Female Kirishima would somewhat open the door, saying, "Hi, Mr. Aizawa. Right now it's not a really good time." And basically just saying that it's never really a good time for a teenager. Anyways, exactly what is going on here? You have the lights on. And I believe I saw a large group of people come onto campus earlier. Do you mind explaining that? Well, it's really... As Togo would someone just jump up behind her, saying that that's not really that hard to explain. Aizawa immediately just smashing the door open and going to wrap Toga up. Her just, well, backing away, and bringing up a blade, cutting straight through his scarf as he tries to tackle her to the ground, believing this to be a villain attack, once again. Until Predator Deku would run in and immediately grab Aizawa, ripping him off of Toga and smashing him into the ground, telling him to calm down. Him confused for a second, thinking this is Midoriya, and telling him to get off of him. Until this Midoriya would run in, telling Izuku to get the hell off of Aizawa. One weird explanation later. Now, with that, they're trying to figure this out. They need to get back to their dimension. And they've had a bit of a theory, but talking to you guys is going to be harder. Now, let's just say one awkward day passes and things are finally sorted out. The Space Marines are finding this to be a bit weird along with the sisters, finding this to be an odd visit, along with the fact that some of their members are unaugmented. And they still are, at the same time. Now, with that being said, everyone would somewhat go through the explanation again, and things would be somewhat sorted out, along with the fact is that All Might has come by today, opening the door to the church to find, well, copies of some people, sitting with other students from UA. Him still confused. Now, with that being said, basically, this Predator Deck would explain how he thinks that it should work if he tries to jump back to their dimension. And that if they do jump back, then, well, yeah, that's gonna be a bit odd. So, can you... You have interdimensional travel, right? Yes, we use the Shadow of the Warp. I'm been hacking into you guys a bit, sorry. Ah. Well then, if you know about the shadow, then you know about the Ethereum. The what? What do we call it? The space between the dimensions. Now, we will be able to hop you there. But if you're trying to hop into your own universe, that would be vastly hard and or difficult. So, if you want to hop back into your universe, then you will need to find out exactly how to get there. You said that you were in a center point in space, correct? Where an anomaly formed. Yeah, it was like a storm. Good. We can take your ship's logs and head there. If the anomaly is there in our version of reality, then that means it will still be there in yours. So, let's do that. Now, before anything happens, this is whenever Deku would stand up. Space Marine Deku. And the other Deku would just, well, somewhat just say, hey. Walking forwards to him, saying that he has a really, really big question that some of his crew were asking last night. What would that be? Well, which one of us is stronger? Really? You're gonna fight me? Yeah, why not? Besides, how could it not be a challenge? It's me. Come on, this will be easy. Now, while that's going on, you have, well, the blonde-haired. You have the black-haired Momo, Predator Deku's Momo, talking with Kirishima, the female one, trying to at least figure out what happened in their realities, and why they're with their Dekus. Along with the fact that this Kirishima is talking with, well, our Momo. Or not our Momo. Predator Deku's Momo. Not Predator Deku. Okay. Predator Deku's Kirishima is talking with Space Marine's Momo, trying to figure out exactly what's going on too. Her being a bit uncomfortable talking with this guy. It's her closest friend, but as a dude. So, that's awkward. Now, Space Marine's Deku and, well, Predator Deku would walk outside and immediately begin to face off. Predator Deku just taking off his mask, his gauntlets, and most of his upper gear, along with pulling the knife out from beside his leg. Setting this all down, one of the Space Marines going to inspect it. May basically just bring her hand up, pointing a plasma caster at him, saying that she's sorry about that, but even then, she can't really allow him to touch that. Not really sure what you can do with it. The Marine saying is that little thing's supposed to scare him. He has battled Tyranids and monsters. I'm not exactly sure what a Tyranid is, sir. But, well, these little puppies here can blast the skull off of something that can, well, let's just say we call it nature's perfect predator. Not predator, prey. They have acid for blood, stealth, and, well, a tail. Very hard to hunt and even kill. Along with that, that's just the babies. The bigger ones are even harder. Try finding a T-Rex that can do that. Now, this Space Marine would just, well, stop trying to inspect the tech. As we'll cut back to these two. Space Marine's Deku cracks his knuckles. As Predator Deku gets ready. The two immediately running forwards. Space Marine's Deku charging in as Predator Deku begins to get leaner. And the two would collide. Predator Deku immediately being overtaken by raw strength. Along with, well, Space Marine's Deku somewhat feeling this version of himself fight back for a minute, before he just puts all his force in a one go, immediately throwing his arms forwards and beginning to mess with him. Predator Deku begins to adapt, as this Deku would watch, himself somewhat beginning to get bigger, this version of himself actually beginning to get 8 feet tall, and a bit taller and more muscular, as he throws a knee straight into Space Marine's guts, and throws his hands downwards, smashing him into the earth. People saw it begin to cheer, as he would just kick Deku away, him being buried into the dirt, getting back up and immediately just running forwards, and beginning to think, if he's going to give this a shot, then he's not going to play fair. So, that works. As the other Deku would just throw a punch. Now, Predator Deku, as soon as he throws a punch, this is whenever Space Prince Deku would dodge it, it going over his left shoulder and him immediately coming up, grabbing this one by grabbing him into a bit of a hold, wrapping his arms around and immediately sweeping his leg, bringing him smashing into the ground as he begins to punch into him as hard as possible. Beginning to think, he is more of a tactician, but he seems to be more of a brawler style, so this is going to be perfect. Let's see. He's adaptable, so there's an idea. As he would immediately begin to just keep punching in, as he actually just brings his knee in, smashing it into Predator Deku's nose, and pick him up by his leg, immediately beginning to smash him into the earth as Predator Deku does recover, growing a tail and immediately wrapping around Space Marine's left arm, and, beginning to pull on it, being able to dislocate it as Predator drops to the ground, and gets back up, socking him across the face and picking him up off the ground himself. And he knows that this one can heal, so there won't be any lasting damage, as he breaks his back over his knee and begins to smash into him very hard, breaking and shattering a part of his spine, him being sent flying. Everyone actually being concerned now. This was not supposed to be this violent or intense, so will your guys' big guy be okay? Well, just give him a minute. What do you mean? Well, just wait. As Space Marine's Deku gets back up, and he sparks with fire. Everyone a bit surprised, as he has a crazed look on his face. Predator Deku's seeing that. He's seen that look in his own eyes before, so this will be good. As these two charge at each other, Predator Deku actually getting heavier and heavier as he begins to stomp on the ground. And he goes to throw a punch at Space Marine Deku, being met with a sonic scream. As Deku just keeps this up, beginning to scream and scream and scream, as he socks into and actually smashes back one of Predator Deku's kneecaps, it basically falling backwards and him being put on one of his knees. Deku bringing up his hand and smashing it downwards on the other one, as he just holds up Predator Deku by his face, screaming at it, telling him to take a good long listen. He is stronger. Predator Deku is somewhat just smirking, as his tongue comes out of his mouth, immediately wrapping around, Space Marine Deku and beginning to form bone claws or blades on it. As Predator Deku tries to hold on to this and wrap around it, it just moving around and slashing around, actually being able to hit Deku almost right at his eye. Predator Deku just leaning forward and jumping up, coming into more of a bipedal stance, like a wild animal. Space Marine immediately beginning to blast fire in his direction, as he just runs at him with his tail. Now, everyone is in shock still, especially the sisters. So, this is what could have happened to the Corn Childs. Fascinating. They need to take down notes and observe this better. Now, with that being said, this is whenever this Deku would just immediately run forwards and jump upwards into the air, beginning to do one thing. His skin getting rougher as he turns into somewhat of a weight, coming down and smashing onto, Space Marine Deku, holding onto him. Through the fire, this is whenever Predator Deku just throws out his hand, smashing it into Space Marine's nose, as he does actually grab him by the ears. Exactly how good is his regeneration? Let's find out, as he pulls them off. Now, this would not affect Space Marine Deku at all. He has never had to use his ears like this. He's had implants for as long as he can remember. So, you basically just tore off a piece of flesh that will regrow, even though it's cartilage. Now, this Deku would immediately just smash upwards into Predator Deku's face, smashing down on his skull, and kicking him away as hard as possible. As he just, throws out his arms. A bit actually happy and, crazed looking. Saying that this is it, isn't it? A battle I've always wanted. I've never felt satisfied when fighting, so the only opponent I can face that can truly make me feel this way. Myself. Why have I never seen it before? Predator Deku is still in a bipedal position, somewhat just smirking, as he begins to grow hair and actual fangs, running forwards, along with his claws getting a lot longer and longer and longer, as he would immediately do one thing. His body is somewhat contorting and sliding, as he's able to bring his legs up. He's able to bring his body over his legs, snapping his bones back into place, and slide underneath Space Marine's Deku, cutting him in the back of the legs, taking out, the muscle right behind the back of his knees. Him coming back down to the ground, as Predator Deku stabs into his back and begins to tear away at it, along with actually smash him in the back of the neck just to see what would happen, and grab him by his nose. He wants to know if, he shouldn't do that. Him somewhat regaining his calmness for a second. Basically just grabbing Space Marine by the back, or by his arms, as he rips through his arms and smashes him in the back once again, seeing if that will knock him over. Space Marine Deku immediately just bringing his hand up, bringing it up and immediately grabbing him by his arm, as he pulls at it, dislocating it and throwing him around, smashing him through another tree. Him going through 3, and actually then 4. So a total of 8. And then getting back up. Now, this is whenever Predator Deku, he feels that his body is going to be at a limit soon. Then again, rapidly adapting to the next thing that he throws at me. That's new. Versatile, I'll give him that. Space Marine's popping his arm back into place, along with actually watching as his wounds heal. Predator Deku's wounds don't heal though, so that is the problem. You just watch as his skin does the spiderweb effect, and repairing itself, but the damage underneath is still bleeding. So, this is whenever people would begin to start talking, thinking that they need to stop this, as Predator Deku would run forwards, along with actually Space Marines, these two getting into a hold. Predator Deku, his claws going bigger and bigger as they begin to dig into Space Marine's hands. Space Marine just beginning to scream into his face at point blank. His eyes beginning to bleed and actually hurt, along with his nose and internal hemorrhaging in his brain. As these two do one thing. Predator Deku makes a bone claw right at his kneecap, and he stabs it upwards into Space Marine's Deku. Space Marine's Deku would somewhat, scream at that. That is actually hitting a big part of his organs. And you guess what would happen next? Space Marines begins to twist his hand, immediately grab it and smash it as he stabs it into his other arm. He then kicks him in the side of his ribs and sends a punch forwards, smashing him into the ground. As he pulls away, the bone breaking and, it being there, just hanging out of his side. As the Space Marine would finally just say that that's enough. Deku actually just looking at him. The crazed look on his face is gone. Everyone in Deku's group is actually a bit surprised, along with Kirishima running over to see if he's okay. She would just ask him if he's going to be okay, and he'll just say he's fine. He just needs to, as he would rip this thing out of his side, saying that that's going to be a lot better. before just laying on the ground. Momo actually running over to check on her Deku, seeing that he's going to be fine too, as she would stick a medical complex into his neck. Him actually somewhat relaxing, as you watch his body somewhat return back to normal. And these, cuts that were turning pink actually begin to turn red, as he's able to at least get back up on his feet. All Might actually a bit surprised at that, and interested, as he would ask a question. What happened to, him and their version of reality, with the fight against All for One? Them just somewhat explaining. They've actually gone past that event, and, the fight with All for One ends with him winning. But that was just it. All Might hearing that phrase. He will no longer be the symbol of peace. In fact, he had to retire. Then again, you had nanites in your system, and you nearly died. The only reason why you didn't was because, as May would just speak up, saying that it was because of her technology, actually. She created the Predator Killer suit. It was one of her greatest achievements. And, it's what kept you alive. Sort of like that one guy from the 21st century. May referencing Iron Man. Now, with that, All Might would at least pay attention to this, and ask them to at least take this to him then, and give it to him if he ever, doesn't feel like a hero. He at least wants to make sure that he's okay, not in just this form of reality then. Him writing down a note, and handing it over. As there is also a picture that they take with him. Deku at least saving this on his phone, as he would walk over and help up Space Marine's Deku, asking him if he's okay. Him just stating that that was the best fight he's ever been in, and he's never felt this way afterwards. What is this? Satisfaction. It's something you get whenever all you think about is just dying in battle. Space Marine's Deku being a bit taken aback, asking what he means. Momo just walking behind him, and, saying that the greatest honor you can have is dying next to your loved one in battle. These two actually beginning to kiss. Momo, she's, a bit confused on how to feel about this. She's watching this play out. And they're from another reality, so it at least isn't that weird. But now she does not need this mental image. Anyways, that is whenever Kirishima would help her Deku get up on his feet, as they would kiss too. The male Kirishima feeling awkward as hell. Now, with that being said, the Marines would begin to talk with them and get things in order. Them shooting off into space, as so does Predator Deku and his team. After, throwing one bitching party and taking some photos. Now, I want to say one of the most funny photos you could probably see is Space Marine Deku being described what a xenomorph is, and Predator Deku, adapting to be exactly like one, and him basically just holding it over his head like he's going to chuck it out of a window. Along with, the male Kirishima and the female Kirishima taking at least a picture. Together. Now, with that being said, the Space Marines would get things in order, leading up to this calm system, finding it to be a bit of a weird connection, but it works. As they do one thing. All Might, he is still on Earth, and he knows about the villain's raid that they will be commencing in a few days. So, that will be a big challenge, won't it? But him from another reality. You succeeded. I know that if you were me, or are me, then you have successfully completed your goal. Put him behind bars and succeeded in letting the next generation live their lives. Let us see to that. Now, this All Might will want to do a bit of light training, or at least better training for the next few days. But he's immediately shot down by a Space Marine and a nun, telling him that the recovery process for new initiates is weeks, not days. So, he is being thrown back a bit of time. While you're being thrown back, you will be able to get things ready for that. And I will assist you. As a Space Marine would just say. All Might confused. As out in space, you would commence this, well, timeline slingshot as you can call it. Them finding the exact coordinates. As the sisters would begin. They would begin by pulling the spaceship into their field of, well, effect for this. Basically, they would both activate lightspeed at the exact same time. And what happens next is, Space Marines, they would open up the Ethereum, jumping into it and actually pulling Predator Deku's ship with it. Them getting ready. As they do one thing. They jump toward again, somewhat actually slowing down and then allowing the space Predator Deku ship to jump forwards even further, given their own set of technology, being able to find their home dimension. Basically, their, well, technology locking onto the source of where they need to be, and onto the storm, allowing them to jump back. Now, if you guys are confused on that, just think about it like this. Every single person vibrates at a different frequency. Or, well, that's not even a good explanation. Every single person from every single different Earth vibrates at a different frequency. Me on Earth 2 right now, he could be vibrating at a 3, while I'm vibrating at a 1. And the one on Earth 3 could be vibrating at a 2. Basically, that's how much our molecules are moving in any given seconds. Now, basically meaning that that is the reason how they were able to get back. Being able to jump through the storm and get back to their Earth. Peacefully. Well, they do have a bit of a problem. Space Marines Deku is on board, and he did say goodbye to himself. Along with that, well, you do have what's happening next. They know about the raid on the villains' hideouts, so this will be another challenge. And it'll be fine, right? Karashima just grabbing onto Deku's hand, saying that it will be, and things will not go wrong. If they do, you know what we do. We make sure that it doesn't. And if it does, we can just shoot our way out of anything. Deku actually smiling. Now, with that being said, I do believe that that is a good point to leave this on. And I do hope you guys enjoyed. Because yes, I did. I created a crossover episode once again. And if you guys are confused at what I said by Space Storm earlier, I found a way to explain that with another what if. And, well, I think my explanation gave it away. If any of you paid attention to it. Now, I do hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'm going to be surprised to see how many of you guys who lost your shit in the comments about this. Anyways, goodbye guys.